Well, sorry about all the dead air. Apparently, I forgot to put myself on the air. So now I'm on the air. Yes, Laurie, we are on the air. And right off the bat, I made a technical blunder. And I've been yakking here and not been on the air. So, as I tried to say earlier, we are going to be discussing Cynthia AbCug from Florida to the present date. Um, And now she was working in Florida, as my records indicate, if they're accurate, in 2007 at Grace Ministries. She is a certified nurse's aide, and she is currently licensed in the state of Colorado. So she's also, there's a record of her having a nurse assistant license that expired in 2019. So I guess, I don't know if a CNA is a new position or promotion or whatever. I don't know that much about the profession. But she also has a current registration for a nurse's assistant that is good until January 31st, 2021. And yeah, and it expired. So I don't know if she's licensed for anything now. So I'm just looking through, trying to get some things worked out here. Okay, I hope you'll bear with me here. A lot of this is done at the last minute. Saturday is one of my busiest days. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this aside for now, because there's going to be a timeline, but I'm not going to get into that in too much detail. I guess we could consider this an introductory episode. So let me read up on the comments here, because when I'm doing stuff, and wrenches, if you would, there are no PPTF, Tim Holmseth affiliated people allowed in here. So the minute they show up, knock them out. This is supposed to be strictly about Cynthia Abzug and no other subject. There are some interesting names in here that come up, but right now, this is simply about Cynthia. And as I try and find the material I'm looking for, sometimes I think I ought to move this to Sunday because it gives me more time to prepare for this, because I have an extremely heavy schedule and it's hard to get things organized. So I apologize for all that. Martha, I'm doing fine. Been quite busy, and I actually found out a bit of some surprising stuff about Cynthia that I'm going to bring up at a later time. Okay. Now this one will be of use. Okay, that I'll set aside. Now, the one thing I did find of interest was I found Cindy's Twitter account. And she had been tweeting up until August 21st, 2019. Although I believe this is a pinned tweet. Yeah. She actually was tweeting right up until March 15th, 2020. And on there, this was an article from PGA Media, and she had been fighting with CPS even in the state of Florida. Um, and there's a lot of information that is garnered both in this particular article and in the uh, Twitter account itself about her side of the story on how all this came about. Now, Cynthia Abzug has 4 children. Her oldest son is Jake, uh, and I believe I'm trying to think if Jeremy is another son or is the same name as Jake. But she has 2 adult children, and then she's got the daughter and the son being the center of the situation right now. And one thing that came out is that at a very early age, the son was suffering from epilepsy. Um, and he had emotional problems. He wasn't eating and that sort of thing. And what had happened is there was also a lot of disputes going on in the marriages. And the one husband named Smith is claimed to have uh, complained to CPS about her, and this led to a bit of a dispute that um, kept going. And we had, of course, all the uh, custody battles, the marriages, and that sort of thing. And what I want to do is, now I had this on the last show. This is a reference to the the situation in Florida was a little bit different. No, Martha, the problem is if you can't, my microphone's on. I don't know why it's. Let me monitor over on YouTube. Okay, let's see what's going on. Testing. All right, I'm not sure what caused that. Yeah, that kind of blew about the first 10 minutes of my show. I apologize, people, for whatever happened there. This is one of these things where I hit the wrong button. This is entirely my fault. I just figured out what I did wrong. Okay, what the document was, I had gone through all the cases that were on the document. Why it's blurry, I don't know. It's clear at my end, but let me go back. And I guess what I'll do is I'll just start it all over again and go through the document so people understand why I had this up there. Now, Martha brings up a point about not looking at the chat. The way my studio is set up is when I bring up a banner, such as this one, it knocks me out of my chat. That's the way the software is designed here. The only way I would be able to see chat is if I... okay, that didn't work. Okay, let me do this. The only... okay, I got lost in thought here. Again, what happens is my software will cut out the chat in order for me to do the other things. I'm just trying to explain to everybody when I make a mistake in the room, that's why. Now, why I didn't have audio was because there's a command I can give to the software to cut my picture out, because what happens is if my picture's still in, you'll see little things in the background, moving my head and so forth, because the banner, as the slide is called, covers the screen. So usually what I do is there's a command where I can knock myself off the screen, and all you see is, I'll show you, if it wasn't for this particular slide, all you'd see is this little circle with a thing going off letting you know that I'm speaking. But what this allows me to do is I can go in here and knock my image out so you can see the what I'm referring to, and continue on with the monologue. So I'm gonna try and do a better job as I go along with this. I should, improve things is I'm going to have more time during this not coming week to where I can work on this. And yeah, the document's blurry because it's a screenshot of the Broward County court record. And I have to lean forward to read it myself, Martha. So I know. But anyway, I'm going to start it over again so that everybody understands what I'm looking at as we get through the history of Cynthia in Florida. Now, in 1999, there was a bank that took Robert Abzug to court, and that had to do with, I think, a check. Or no, this is real property foreclosure. Okay. Now, the way, I'm not understanding why it did this, but the way the court records came up on the files is there's the year, and the case is going to jump in 2005, 2000, 2006, and so on. So when I read these dates off, they're not going to be in order. But Cynthia Abzug against Robert Abzug, domestic violence, December 29th, 2005. She also filed a repeat violence against Robert Abzug on the same date. In August 22nd, 2006, she filed against David, Priede, Preed or something like that, who I believe is another one of her husbands. According to the record, she's been married 4 times. And we go down here to Robert Abzug, another petition for domestic violence, 2/16/2000. So this is what I said. And then 2018, 2000, the marriage was dissolved at the request of Robert Abzug. Then we jump down to Cynthia Abzug versus Eddie A. Lopez, respondent, repeat violence, 7/23/2001. And again, we have David Preed as the petitioner against Cynthia Abzug for paternity plus paternity. Not sure why it's listed that way. This is in December of 2003. And then the 2 cases at the bottom have to do with evictions from an apartment. And so that's what all that was. And this kind of tells you that she was, she is constantly in court for one reason or another. Now that I screwed up the first half an hour of my stream, let me see if I can bring up okay, yeah, I already took care of that. So, yeah, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start looking at I've got like a YouTube monitor on a separate screen. I'm going to have to look at that so we don't run into any more of these technical problems. If I'd known my audio was completely out, I would have taken care of this much earlier. So it's a bit sloppy on my part. Now, let me... Okay, now, what I'm not going to be able to do with this is I'm not going to be able to bring up Cynthia Abzug's Twitter account. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down through the last time she posted on her Twitter account was fairly recent. It was in March 15th, 2020. And what wound up coming on there is a article that was done on her by PJ Media, which is a conservative. Martha, yeah, it was dissolution of marriage. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to come back into chat on here. yeah, it was mainly her dissolution of marriage, and there was ongoing disputes with her husbands. And yeah, you're right about that. This has been the contention by a lot of people who've been following closely her situation. I'm more or less playing catch up, but because the way it's been put by a lot of sources is that she was constantly accusing her husbands of misconduct when they were doing, it was basically they were accusing each other of things, and this is part of the pattern that is alleged here that led up to the situation in Colorado. Yeah, her Twitter account, which started off way back in let me do it this way because the only way I'm going to be able to do this correctly is go up here. Nope, that isn't going to work, so let me do this. Yes. This program works a lot different than the one I used to use, and I'm still getting used to it. Now, this photo here, as soon as I get to it, this is Cindy and all of her kids. Now, this is public, so I don't think I'm going to get into too much of a situation with a knock. Well, I guess I'm stuck with that. Anyway, this is now the one in the center apparently is the oldest son. Then we have the second son with the multicolored shirt on. He is the second one, and I think he's Jeremy. The oldest son is Jake. We have the daughter to the left, and she's the one that reported the mother to authorities. And the woman in pink is Cynthia, and the little boy on the right is the one that is in CPS custody and the cause of all the problems. So now, well, put her picture up. No, that those two are her. Let's see. Let me get back over here. Now, according to the caption that she put on the picture, these are her sons. I have not looked into the spouses that close. Yeah, the child is allegedly the Munchausen's victim. And they're now the two older sons actually support her. The oldest son, which is the one in the mustache or in the center of the picture, he supports her, says that the child was suffering from epilepsy and since he was an infant. Well, yeah, I'm just going by what she wrote. Let me see if I can bring up. It's going to take me a while to find it because I'm doing. But she put up, if you go through her Okay. The two, yeah, she pictures the two sons in one image here. Let me see if I can. Okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to say it's going to take me a minute to bring this over on because I have to download it and then transfer it. But the one son that you're talking about, Martha, has a full beard in this shot, and the other son that's to the left of him is the younger one. And then there's another picture of the uh, child, and I think that's with his sister. I believe the name is either Christopher or Michael. It's one of the two. It comes up on a GoFundMe that was raised. Um, okay, let me see if this carried over. Okay, I gotta go back. I'm gonna. This software is a pain in the neck. I have to keep running back and forth. Now, these are the two sons, and she says in the tweet, let me bring up what she says. She said, my four beautiful, loving, successful kids. One is missing. DHS CPS Colorado ripped him out of a loving home. False petition, no due process, no crime, no business. This was put up September 7th, 2019, and she sent it from Parker. So she must have gone through her personal albums to find these pictures. And so, that basically, the picture in the bottom left-hand corner with my thing in the way is the bottom left-hand corner is the daughter, and the child is the one that's in dispute. And then I believe that's the daughter and the younger son on the right-hand side, and then the top left is the two older sons. Yeah, I believe now the GoFundMe, I believe, was started by a friend of hers. Um, so I'm not too clear on how much uh, is going on here. Now, this is going to be this. I'm going to bring this slide up. This is going to be a bit of a surprise. In doing my research on this Twitter account, I came across this and I had completely forgotten about it. Let me go down here. Cynthia and I had been following each other. I had followed her account once I found out who she was tangled up with. And then, let's see, on or around the 7th of May, 2020, this appeared on my Twitter account. And Cynthia AbCug had contacted me wanting to know who was investigating the Children's Crusade, the fake Pentagon pedophile task force. Do you know who's investigating them? Anyone? And I did tell her that there was possibly some investigations being done, and I gave her the name of someone who she could talk to get more information about this. So I had completely forgotten. This was a little over a year ago, and this was the only thing I had gotten from her is this one message. I have not heard from her since. So whether or not she contacts me again, I don't know, because I understand people are telling her that I'm going to be in Colorado, and so she may or may not contact me. And so we'll see how that goes. But I am not going to uh, attempt any aggressive contact of her, which was something that was being charged against me by uh, the haters, as they said that I was going to attempt to tamper with the trial, which I'm not. Now, in September 5th, 2019, she contacted Christopher Hallett and asked him to follow her. And I believe that sometime later in that same month, September 6, 2019, Christopher Hallett followed Cynthia Abzug. And let me get back over here. This is another one of these things that's knocked out of my chat. Martha, in the Twitter feed, she did make note that she appeared on Phil McConnell's show. And it was either just before or I think it was just after her contact with Christopher Hallett. So it would appear that in August and September of 2019, she had begun reaching out to these people. But the Twitter account, which I tracked back to early 2019, is virtually full of pictures about her children, her fight with CPS, and her various contacts with media personalities about talking about her case. And that is part of what I'm going to get into next week. Playing clips from her various interviews that she made, including Phil McConnell and some of these other people. Now, it's alleged that he had a picture of Kim decapitated. There was all kinds of threats being made against her about her being executed, sent to Gitmo, all this nonsense. And apparently, Cynthia thought that he had the ability to handle the case, but at some point, she got the idea that Chris Hallett and these groups were not on the up and up. And this was after, I believe, she was in trouble with the law. And so that's, her situation got bad, and she began to look at Phil McConnell and Kirk Pendergrass and all these other people as part of her the cause of her troubles. And I believe that possibly when the trial starts, this is all going to come out because the prosecution does have her entire Twitter log. And so it would make sense that this is going to be brought up in court, that the gun is likely to have come from someone like Phil McConnell and Abel Danger. Now, what I haven't found so far is any contact she may have had with the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force in that respect. I would suspect that as I go through these records, that is exactly what I'm going to find, is exactly when contact was made with these other people. Yeah, you're correct, Laurie. He was getting into situations where his sister was a Democrat, and she was also had to do with the estate. And because of the dispute, I think that's what started him down the anti-Democrat road, is because of his sister. And the rest of this just came out of that. Mr. Wilson was a boyfriend of Sarah Dunklin out of Arkansas, the one that is the political operative. And it is alleged that Mr. Wilson, who is seen in videos on Phil McConnell's show, looking like the typical gangster you'd see in movies, flew to Colorado, acted as a bodyguard, and he may have been the source of the weapon she possessed at the time she was arrested in Montana. So let me get rid of that. So we have, all these connections coming up. And again, I do believe that these are all going to come out in the trial. Now, this, on August 2nd, 2019, she posted, "I just saw my son for the third visit in 80 days. The department emailed me to tell me today that he fell today and hurt his eye today on some wood when I saw him, and I'm not a doctor. His eye has a purple bruise and no signs of scratches. Keep him in prayer." This is one of the many times that she is accusing those foster parents of doing physical harm to him, abusive physical harm. Which again, if you go back to Florida, she's constantly making these accusations against her spouses. Now, what's interesting about going through all this is all these pictures are up of her having fun with her son, and you would never believe that there was a problem until she started posting on social media, and then you start going through the legal cases. And her Twitter feed starts on May 19th, 2019. Now, she was a member of Twitter since 2014, so I don't know what happened to anything prior to 2019. In her very first tweet, or no, this was a tweet by somebody else that she retweeted. But August 1st, 2019, I am going to be on the Debbie Aldrich show tonight, Mountain Time. Please tune in and retweet. I have no idea who that is. But that May 19th is when she started her publicity, apparently. Now, Debbie Aldrich is a broadcaster for CADM, which is a conservative group. Uh, and she does a lot of stuff along those lines. Um, and she's over on YouTube. Not very many subscribers. She does a lot of streaming. Why somebody as famous as that doesn't have any more than that, I don't know. But anyway, well, yes, I've heard rumors. It's hard to confirm that because, again, this is a case involving a minor, and it's generally hard to get information about the child. And the bulk of the records in her case have been sealed. It's hard to get any information. I spent some time with the court clerk a couple days ago trying to get a general idea of how things are going to go on the case, and there is no discovery of her. Yeah, I kept it up. I can't, I'm not going to bring her Twitter account in because, it's a lot of private information in there, and so I decided to leave the photo of the child out for the time being. So thanks for letting me know that. But I had left it up more or less so people, because I'm reading from the Twitter account. I'm not bringing anything in from the Twitter account. Yeah, there is a way to bring the account into my chat room, but I don't want to do it right now because it's got, it's just got a lot of private stuff on there. I don't want to exploit the child. So, see media. I wonder if I've got that. I'll bring that up here. She's got a thing she puts on her account that this is the file request that on September 5th, 2019, she wanted Chris Hallett to follow her, which he subsequently did. And supposedly from September 2019 until the time she was alleged to have come to Florida, all this was taking place. That is quite correct, Martha. All the articles that were written and so forth blame QAnon for all her troubles. One thing I'll go into next week is I'm going to go into a timeline, but she basically had met the QAnons in Colorado at a country club they had some kind of discussion. Uh, she was in contact with Chris Hallett, and of course, from there, Chris Hallett probably, somehow she found out about Field McConnell and all these other organizations, and the rest is history, as they say. So we're going to find out uh, next month how much of this is going to affect her situation. Okay. And of course, this is where Chris Hallett followed her. And so we have the lines of communication set up. That sometime after September 6, 2019, they started communicating. And of course, all the communications is now in possession of the court. Yeah, that's quite correct. She was on Northwest Liberty News. Anytime that she went on social media, she posted about it on her Twitter account. So this kind of gives you an idea that she was using social media extensively to try and get her side of the story out. She was also pleading with local media out of Colorado to cover her story. I don't think she was very successful at it, unfortunately. So as far as specifics as to how she got involved with the other players in this little drama, it's hard to say. But I think that at that time, Phil McConnell and Chris Hallett had a close working relationship, and he might have been the broker between the various groups to try and get help for Cynthia, and as to how everybody eventually got uh, together in this. Martha, that's a possibility. Field could have been the one that's behind a lot of what happened through his Children's Crusade and Able Danger organizations. That's one of the things that has to come out in the court is just how all this came together. Who started the ball rolling? Who participated? Where did all the money come from? How did the Sarah Dunklin figure into all this and so forth? And this is, all this is going to come out in court. And that's probably why some of these people are having a fit about this, so much attention being drawn to this trial. Very little attention is being paid to it at the moment by the players in this little drama. It's all they're trying everything to sidetrack people, not have them come in here and even see this small channel. My viewer numbers are way down, and that's either because I'm a sloppy webcaster, or perhaps there's a little bit of sabotage going on because they're trying desperately to keep people away from this account. And so what I'm going to do is next week, I'm going to go into a lot of information that was sent to me and try to do it more thorough. This is more or less a kind of an introduction to give you an idea of who Cynthia was. And again, it's going to be more preparation, making sure that I have everybody better informed than tonight, because this show really didn't go anywhere near the way that I wanted it to. And again, I apologize for that, but I'm just reading through some of your comments here. If Levi's coming on at 10 o'clock, let me check. I don't want to compete with him. Close that for now. CPAC is tomorrow. They're having their I think Trump is supposed to be there tomorrow or something like that. Hey, Levi. Welcome in here. I didn't see your name pop up because I didn't know if you're. Task Force tweeted to me, at least show her friends. Well, that ducked out on her. I don't know what ZZ Top has to do with the fact that she won't give out an address for the process servers, but if the state of Colorado sends her a subpoena, I wonder if she'll avoid it. That'll be interesting to see. Levi, who is Sophie Long? Yeah, Levi was on. I listened into his show. I wasn't able to go online in one of them. I went on another one, but I think I listened into a little bit on that particular episode. So. Okay, let me. Okay, so we have an alert. This is Sophie might be a little bit of a problem here as I follow along what Levi is saying. I think what I'm going to do. Go off topic a little bit. Okay, if you want to come in, Levi, or anybody else to discuss this, we can go a little bit off topic. I don't know if it copied properly. Sometimes. Okay, Levi, I think you're on.
Hey, Mert. So, Sophie Long was a little girl. She was in the news about a year ago. I would say late summer 2020.
Okay,
She
now I
was
remember.
she was a little girl that was during a custody exchange between her father and her mother. She started screaming and she said that she was abused by her mother's boyfriend, and that video went viral online.
Oh,
And
yeah, I think I remember because Alexandra had commented about it.
yeah, and then police investigated it and said there was no evidence of abuse. And a lot of people have concluded that her father was pushing her to say it because he didn't want the mother to see Sophie. They'd been going back and forth over custody, and he basically used his daughter to get back at his ex, Sophie's mother. And there's like a QAnon connection too, because Sophie's dad, Michael Long, was really drumming up support in the QAnon and Save the Children community with
Lovely.
Sophie's story. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it was a huge drama. A lot of some YouTube channels followed it more closely than I did, but apparently, um, he even started sleeping with people that were moderators in Facebook groups that he started.
Oh, good grief.
He started a GoFundMe, and people started questioning where the funds were actually going and why he needed a GoFundMe. And just not long ago, I think it was about a month ago, he filed a lawsuit against a bunch of people, including the state of Texas. There were
Hmm.
several defendants, and one of the defendants was Nancy Grace, actually, which was really strange because Nancy covered the case, but she seemed to be on his side. So I don't know
Hmm.
why he included her in the lawsuit. And the funny thing about it is he filed the lawsuit pro se and
Oh, boy.
included. He was interviewed on Nancy Grace's Sirius XM radio show,
Mm-hmm.
and when he included the list of defendants, he listed Nancy Grace's old CNN address. She
Oh,
doesn't
for
even
gosh
work at
sake.
CNN anymore. So it's crazy.
These people are crazy to get.
And now it's being reported on Facebook that Sophie is missing.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, that she is now missing. She's been missing. I have not found any mainstream news articles on this at all. But it's been posted on Facebook. There's a Facebook group called Find Sophie Long.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Because something like that you'd think would have been reported to the authorities. Um, so, that's going to be something we're going to have to watch and see what develops there. Like you may have muted yourself, maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm still here. Yeah, somebody posted on Facebook on a Facebook group called Sophie Long Case Updates, and it says authorities are aware that Sophie is missing. She's been missing since July 7th.
Oh, wow.
Law enforcement is not going to discuss with the general public or any YouTube creators about anything. Apparently, Sophie, who's 10 years old, was taken, according to this wanted poster on Facebook, July 7th, 2021, from Texas. And the people that did it was her father, allegedly, her father, Michael Long, and a group of other people.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's fairly recent. So that's, in 3 days, boy, they better hurry up.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why there's not an Amber Alert issued either.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. Do they issue an Amber Alert if there's an alleged parental abduction, or do they only do that with strangers?
They do it for everything. It's like I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to have to research and see exactly what the criteria is for Amber Alerts, but yeah, I see Amber Alerts for abductions all the time, parental abductions, especially here in Florida, where a non-custodial parent has the child, so they'll issue an alert for it. And they've done it for stranger abductions too. So, I would think that if this is a legitimate missing child, that they would issue an Amber Alert.
Yeah. So what's being posted on Facebook is that Michael Long was supposed to hand over Sophie for visitation to the child's mother, and he never showed, and he's missing. He and his daughter Sophie are both missing.
Okay, let's see. I got. Okay, is Find Sophie Long the one you're talking about?
Yes, it's a Facebook group.
Okay. It's a private group, so.
And I was reading that lawsuit that he filed about a month ago against multiple people, and it had some like sovereign citizen like language in it too.
Yeah.
And I was like wondering, I wonder if this guy's connected to some of the sovereigns that we've talked about in the past.
Well, you never know. They all birds flock together. Well, you never know.
Because you remember.
Oh shoot! My thing is double speaking again.
You remember Emily Jolly, the woman that took off with her child from Utah?
Yeah.
She's connected to Sarah Dunklin on LinkedIn.
Yeah. That makes sense. It seems to be all these people are connected in one way or another.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Long is not connected to this group that we've been covering for about 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. It would make absolute sense that this is all one big happy family. And what's going to happen is that possibly in less than a month, we're going to find out what's going on. Because I don't know if you saw my slide before you came in, but I was reviewing material for tonight's show, and I found out that Cynthia AbCug actually tried to contact me in May of last year.
Yes.
And
did you post the screenshot on here?
Yes, I did. Let me see if I can bring that back up. It was May 7th. Matter of fact, let me.
This was. I wonder if this was during the time when she was on the run.
May? No, I think it was after she got caught, because I had replied that before doing anything, you need to talk to your lawyer, as far as reaching out to people like me, to make sure.
Well, her lawyer doesn't have anything to do with you.
Yeah, but I want to make sure she doesn't destroy her case.
Well, I don't
And,
care if she destroys our case or not.
but there's the slide coming up. And she basically said, "Good evening. Do you have info on the fake Children's Crusade and the fake Pentagon Task Force? Do you know who is investigating them, if anyone?" And I had replied with the information I had, and I gave her someone who could give her information. Um, and we both know who that is. So, someone who could.
Yeah, well, Kennedy, I don't know if Kelly Long has her other kids. I don't know.
Yeah, if you got.
It would be interesting to see if Cynthia knows where some wanted fugitives may be.
It would be interesting. I rather doubt she's probably kind of put them in the back of her mind and is not contacting them anymore. Because I know one of the comments over on BitChute has her as some kind of an agent or spy or something.
Well, I think she was staying with Phil McConnell at the time some of these other people were as well. So she could definitely have some information. And if she thinks that, they were selling her a bill of goods, they were frauding her and taking her on a wild ride, saying they work for the president, they worked for Donald Trump, that Donald Trump was on her side. They were going to help her get her kids back, and look where she ended up. She's about to go on trial August 2nd. So, she may be willing to spill the beans about what she may know, if she knows anything. I don't know what she knows.
Well, hell hath no fury. I mean, she's going to know about Wilson. She's going to know about the gun. She's going to know about all these people that helped her along the way. That person that gave her whatever that diplomatic thing was, and then of course her communication. Yeah, she's been talking back and forth with Chris Hallett. That's all going to be, evidence that the law enforcement has. And there's, this is a sealed case, so there's a lot you don't know here. It's not like Neely Blatcher where we learn a lot every day. This is a tightly controlled case, and when I get to Colorado, I'm going to have a meeting with the clerk of the quarter before trial to see if I can pry some information out of them, since we're that close to the trial. And there is a status hearing coming up the end of this month, around the 27th, where some stuff might come out as well. But we're going to, that's the thing. As far as the case itself, unless the state suddenly decides to blow all this information out through FOIAs, we're not going to learn much of anything until the actual trial.
Uh-huh. Do you think that she'll plead guilty?
I don't know. This might come up the 27th where, she may do a plea deal. That would shorten things a bit because the trials are scheduled for all week, Monday through Friday. And so she does a plea, it'll reduce it to a hearing. And the thing about it, she does a plea deal, she's got to cooperate with law enforcement. She's got to detail everything that happened, name names, so on and so forth. So the last thing these people want is for her to cop a plea, because then she literally has to tell the truth, and this could involve problems for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that I could see Cynthia taking a plea before Field, but I don't even know if one's been offered to her.
Yeah, that's an unknown. There has been no information, like I said before, regarding the case. They're being incredibly tight-lipped, and part of the reason might be the fact that the victim of this whole thing is a child, her youngest son. And so they may because of the child being involved, there may be some limitations on what information comes out in the actual trial itself, if this does go to trial. And there's always the incentive that maybe if she cooperates with authorities and does enter a plea deal, that at some time down the road, she would be able to be reunited with her son. That would be a big incentive for her to cooperate more thoroughly with law enforcement. And what I get out of reading the direct message she sent me, way back in May, she was angry with these people. So she may have been cooperating all along anyway. And so that could be part of the reason the case is sealed, is so that they're not giving away anything to any potential additional defendants out there.
Yeah, there better be additional defendants. That's all I got to say.
I would be surprised if there were not, because I know the feds are going to be concerned about her running around the country with an unregistered firearm, unlicensed concealed weapon, and so forth, multiple jurisdictions. And especially with her alleged attempt to kidnap her child and make out some kind of punishment to the CPS or to the foster parents. Because when I was going through her Twitter log, she seemed to believe that there had been abuse of the child. And with everything that had been fed to her, according to her daughter's deposition, she was angry to the point where she may have just let emotions take over her good judgment, and somebody would have really been seriously hurt. And this is going to affect how the prosecution presents the case, of course.
Yeah, well, I think she most likely, had Munchausen, and all of these sexual abuse allegations are stuff that she made up. As Kirk Pendergrass says, shit made up. That's what all of those accusations are. Shit she made up.
Yeah, that seems to be the belief of many people on the prosecution side and on the Children's Hospital in Colorado that she went to. It was the Children's Hospital in Aurora, Colorado, that first became suspicious of what she was describing her son. And it was they who then went to the authorities and said, I think we've got a case of Munchausen's here. This child is improving while he's away from his mother's care. And at that point, that CPS came in and took the child. And, it's just there's a lot of back and forth. Right now, all I have is her side of the story. And most of it came from an article that was printed by a conservative I don't know if you call it a newspaper or a Twitter site or a blog or what the heck it was, but they did a very long article of the case history of her and her side of the, about the child being kidnapped by CPS and all this other stuff. And I may go into that a little bit more in detail next week. But it just seems that at some point, she was sucked into this QAnon business and through Field McConnell and the others, and through their advice got herself into a boatload of trouble. I think now she realizes it, and she is trying to figure out a way to get out of the situation by blaming them. And I think that's where this is going to go.
Yeah, and Sarah Dunklin's the common denominator.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much comes out about the alleged involvement of Sarah Dunklin in all this, because she is about the most important figure so far as people that are famous. I mean, she's on the Republican committee in that state. Her father was a candidate at one time, and so on and so forth. So the political connections there. Plus, she is closely associated with the former press secretary who was running for governor the last I checked. And so she's high up in the mucky muck factor in this little group, and more than likely is somehow involved with the money situation, because there's a lot of money that floated around in this case. And, you know, the government's going to follow the money to find out just what the heck happened here. And there's also the possibility, I think, that eventually that medical student that followed her around, that took her on this little joyride, is going to be questioned too. We're going to see him up on the witness stand, or at least I would think he'd be up there, because he's an important witness, as he was along with, for the ride, so to speak, in all this.
Yeah, that's someone else that has the goods on Phil McConnell and the rest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a boatload of evidence. You've got a 3-part series on Northwest Liberty News that went into explicit detail the timeline of their little adventure, and it's for that reason alone that they're probably going to call her into court, and they could even bring in archives of Northwest Liberty News's web or broadcast as evidence to play in court. Both sides would do that. Because they're going to, I think that the defense may argue incitement, saying that they basically took a vulnerable woman who had personal issues and filled her with all these hopes of everything, being connected to President Trump, having immunity passports, and they're going to get her children back and all this nonsense, and overwhelmed her to the point where she went along with this. And they're going to play on the sympathy of the jury, because there's been a lot of bad publicity about QAnon over the past year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this trial is going to be an interesting trial to watch, because I think that her daughter is going to testify against her, possibly some other members of her family, law enforcement. And I think that she was even staying with a woman outside of Washington, D.C. that has connections in D.C. as well for a while.
Well, the woman outside of D.C. was in Virginia, and this is the one that was alleged to have been able to go through the State Department and get her this diplomatic immunity or diplomatic passport, or whatever the hell it was. And yeah, so the State Department's even looking. I know for a fact the State Department's looking into it. I have a niece that's in the State Department, and I asked her to check on it, and she said, oh yeah, they're definitely investigating it, because it's an employee of the State Department, and that's this woman's spouse, apparently. And Laurie's asking, will it be live streamed? And the answer is, I do not think so, because the Douglas County Courthouse does not have the same kind of facilities we have down here in Orlando, where I could get a media feed from the courtroom. This is a smaller court, and they also have different laws in the state of Colorado. And on top of everything else, a child is involved with the case, so there's a question of even if this is going to be open to the public, and I'm going to be able to personally attend the trial. I have a plan worked out where if I can't get in the courthouse itself, that I'll be able to get updates as to what happened in the court at the end of each day. My plan is to do a live shot out in front of the courthouse before session each day, going over what I think is going to be happening in the court that particular day. And then I will do a murderthon at night from the hotel, going over everything that happened that particular day. And everything depends on, how I do it's going to depend on whether or not I can get in the courtroom. If it's going to be a sealed trial, then I'm going to have to do it the second way. See, I don't know. See, the way courtrooms work in most profile cases is they have a pool feed. which means more than likely a Denver station would go down there and they would act as the pool feed to throw it out to the public, and that would be the choice of the media to then put it up for live stream. But again, because this is a involving a minor as the victim to be of this kidnapping, they may not do that. So this is, as I get closer to the trial date, I'll be able to flush out this information, talk to court exchange or court administration, and see exactly what's going to be allowed and not allowed in court.
Well, you can, Lori, you can probably tweet to like Court TV and Law and Crime and tell them you would like to see them cover this trial.
Yeah, if there's enough interest generated to those channels, they're like Wild by Trial or whatever they used to call it.
Yeah, I don't think they're in. I don't think they're.
I think they went
in operation.
But anyway, HLN or Court TV would be two good sources to try and get in there, and because this isn't, this covers a lot of important issues that it should be nationally covered. Because there's an ongoing dispute about how CPS is operating, and then on the other side of the coin is when you get these fringe groups like QAnon and the PPTF interfering with disputes with the CPS and making matters worse. This is getting to be a growing problem, and it needs to be covered more than by a YouTube chat with 15 people watching it. This needs to be in the national spotlight.
I agree, but there's several trial organizations. Court TV is back, and Dan Abrams has his streaming service, which is the Law and Crime Network, and you can tweet them on Twitter, and it's at Law Crime Network, and you can request a trial, so you can tell them you'd like to see the Cynthia Abzug trial covered on August 2nd.
Yeah, I think they spread the word to everybody to do just that, Levi. You have a big reach on your show. And everybody on here, if you just get start getting out there and letting everybody at these various networks know that you want to see coverage of this trial, then there's a possibility that we'll get streaming live from the court, and I can tap into that and append it with my broadcast as well. So it's just this way the information gets out there, because it's more important that this information get out to as many people as possible so that something can be done to make situations like Cynthia Abzug not happen again.
All right, Mert, thanks for having me on. I'm going to get off of here. Great show.
All right. Thanks a lot, Levi, and come back anytime.
All right. Have a great night.
Well, that was nice enough for Levi to stop in. It's always good to have him here. I've been thinking about Montegraph since I'm going to be in Denver, how he would handle the situation. Somebody probably ought to contact him and see if he's going to be commenting about it on his show while this is all going on. It would be interesting to hear his input, and it's just another voice in the crowd to get the information out to his audience. And so we'll see. We'll see if Monty joins in on all this and gets the word out. Because again, the more people that pay attention to this case and discuss it and deal with the problems that started this situation in the first place, then maybe some resolutions will come about. I'm not taking a position on Cynthia Abzug. I'm not going to be for her or against her. I'm neutral. I'm covering this just like anyone would. There's multiple sides to every story. There's a massive amount of people out there that have problems with CPS. You're constantly hearing about CPS abusing their power, about people within the system abusing children, and all sorts of problems going on. So there is legitimacy here. It's hard to say without knowing the full details if Cynthia Abzug was treated improperly, that the system broke down and didn't help her in a way that they could. We don't know for sure that all this is Cynthia's fault. It may be all her fault, it may be none of her fault, or somewhere in between. So, what we need to do is look objectively at this case and decide, as the 13th juror, who is right and who is wrong. And also, if there is a problem with CPS and the way they handle these cases, then maybe there needs to be some stricter oversight and stricter reform when it comes to the various CPS agencies throughout the country, because most of these CPS agencies are local. They're either state, county, or city run, and the administrations of these cases vary from one jurisdiction to another. You may have one jurisdiction that does a really fine job with mothers and their children, and you may have another one in another jurisdiction that's abusing the hell out of these families. And so there needs to be a close investigation of CPS, how they're handling these cases, and are they acting in the best interest of the mother and the child. And it's got to be done the right way. I mean, you can't have people going whole hog and coming up with all these conspiracy theories about child trafficking and androchrome and sentinels groups. It's got to be common sense criticism, because maybe there's a breakdown in the bureaucratic process, or maybe bad motivation on the part of caseworkers. They may be overloaded with too many cases, and they take it out on the subjects of their investigation, and they just say, well, screw it, we're just going to take the children away so that I don't have to deal with this case, and so on and so forth. If that's what's going on, it needs to be investigated and doing all that. But it's got to be done the right way. It's one thing that you're concerned with the issue, you want to do something about it, but you got to do it in a way that's going to be the right way and not get into half-baked ideas like taking the children, putting them on a boat and getting them out of the country and giving them fake passports, having them run all over the eastern United States and then be on their way to Canada when they get pulled over by the cops. And QAnon certainly has no business getting involved. These people are idiots. They don't know what the hell they're doing, and they're making matters worse. We have a woman in Colorado going on trial now because of QAnon, allegedly, and we have a woman down in Ocala, Florida, going on trial for allegedly murdering the same individual that had contacted Cynthia Abzug. You got another woman out in the western part of the United States that's in trouble for kidnapping her children and taking them up to the state of Washington before she got caught. And she may have a connection to these very same people. And so there's a pattern here of people being given bad advice by this group, getting themselves in serious legal trouble, and then finding themselves abandoned by the very people that got them into the situation in the first place. And this is one of the main reasons I'm following this case, is because of who's involved, what's involved, and what could be the outcome of this and the other cases. And it's because of that that I'm going to continue to study and talk about Cynthia Abzug throughout this month, and then through the week of the trial and what results after the trial. And then we move on to Field McConnell, and we move on to Neely Blatcher. So it's going to be a kind of a full year, folks. So I would hope that everybody tunes in and subscribes, and click the notification button, share the content, so that everybody can have an idea what the issues are in all these cases and what connects them to each other. Okay, at this point, folks, I think I'm going to call it a night. I have some things to do. I have some more research to do on this particular case, and I may do some mobile-thons during the week. I don't know. The one thing I do want to do is start concentrating more on research so I'm better prepared on these shows when I do come on. I do apologize that this show didn't go quite as planned. I'm still learning the software, so of course we're going to have that issue. So, whoever tunes into the show after it's recorded, just tell them to fast forward through about the first 10 minutes. Thanks, Kingfish. I thank you for coming in, and I thank everybody for coming in. And so until next time, I hope your weekend is productive. I hope you have a good and safe weekend. Keep hooping the hula hoop, Slurry, and everybody else, just enjoy yourself. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1, saying good night, good luck, and have a good one.